question is, have you ever tried to design a brand identity from a random color palette generator online? I haven't, and that's why we're here. So if you are new here, my name is Abby and I'm a brand designer from the UK creating tasteful brand identities that are never forgotten. Also giving you guys an insight into the design world. So in today's video, I am challenging myself to create a whole brand from a random color palette online. So if you are ready, let's get straight into the design. To kick this challenge off, we obviously need a color palette. Otherwise, it will be a very short video. So I'm gonna use an online generator. I like to use Coolers for sort of color palette inspo, so I am gonna be using them. I'm heading over to the site and I am basically just gonna press a space bar and it generates some color palettes that go together. So let's do exactly that. Damn, she is organic. I really like this color palette. Things that are coming to mind right now are like food, sort of organic foods, farmers, gardening. I'm gonna have a 10-minute brainstorming session to see what sort of businesses can come to mind and hopefully come up with a name as well. Okay, I think I've found the perfect business for this brand. Please let me know in the comments what sort of business you would brand these colors in, because I would love to know. But I have chosen a bread bakery. Now I was gonna go for like more of like the farming sort of route, but I don't know what it was. I think it was like the khaki web and the Windsor tan color. It just reminded me of like toast for some reason. And I thought bread bakery shop, getting those sorts of vibes. And who doesn't love fresh, warm bread smothered in just butter? Like, I'm addicted to that stuff. So I haven't designed a bread bakery before, so I feel like this is going to be another challenge in itself. But I am excited to take on this challenge, try and create a beautiful brand identity from this beautiful color palette. So with that being said, the name that I have come up with is called High Riser. I want it to be subtle in the bread approach. So in the baking process, obviously the dough rises and I feel like you could be on like a really high when you eat the bread because it tastes so damn good. So we've got High Riser and we're gonna get into the process. If you've watched a lot of my videos, you probably know my design process quite well. So the first thing we are gonna do is create a Pinterest board full of visual looks, full of direction, and hopefully find something visual and a style that I want to go for. So within the Pinterest board, I have curated lots of different images. We've got some beautiful bread on here, which is also making me very hungry and I haven't eaten breakfast, so I may need to go and do a little break and eat some bread. But I found some gorgeous images of old invoices, and the typography and that sort of homemade, handwritten personal feel is something that I think I want to take this brand down. It is beautiful. I love the handwritten feel, so that is potentially going to be something that I do for this bread bakery. I feel like when you're making bread, it's such a personal, it's such a handmade thing that the handwritten feel is going to work really, really nicely. Okay, so from this Pinterest board, I have now put together my very own mood board with a more stylized and more direct vision. I find Pinterest can be so sort of overwhelming when you've got all of the images there. So to just whittle it down to around 9 images can give you more of a clear direction. So we are at the typography stage now. So we've created the mood board. We kind of know what style we're gonna go for the handwritten font, as I mentioned when doing the Pinterest board. So I have found some typefaces through my font library and on Envato Elements, which is my go-to place for mockups and fonts. You guys know how much I adore them. They are actually the sponsor of this video as well, so if you want to check them out, click the link in my description. Okay, I did actually start with 8 typefaces, but I've whittled it down to my top 3. So these are the ones that have made it first, second, and third place. I wanted to go for more personalized, more handwritten feel for this bakery brand, just because when you're baking bread, it is sort of a handmade feel. So these typefaces show exactly that. The thing that I'm looking out for now is the one that I want to get rid of. So the top one I really liked because it reminded me of like when you glaze bread. It just has like really nice drips and it's still handwritten, but it's a little too much. So I'm gonna get rid of it. I'm not vibing with it. So Now these two, I can start comparing them off each other. The bottom one, I did really like because it's very handwritten. It just feels a little too premium and too thin. So it's gone, it is gone. We now have our first place, which is Ancient Signature Regular. It's personalized, it's handwritten, it's still got sort of thick places, and it's gonna work really nicely for this bakery brand. I'm gonna take you through my thought process for designing this primary logo. So I wanted to make sure that there was a good hierarchy here. So I wanted the word high to be the highest point. So I positioned riser underneath high, and it sat really, really nicely between the G and the H, and it just looked really pleasing to the eye. So that was the best decision and the best layout for the logo. Then I sort of had a look at the word high, and the curl is really nice on the high, but it did remind me of a C, and I thought if I thought that this said chai, then others are going to think the same too. So I didn't want there to be any confusion, and I wanted to make it a little more simpler because at the moment I want sort of the eye and the focus to be on the word riser, because that is what bread does. So I wanted to take that away from the H. So I've literally just got the pencil tool and I'm getting rid of the nice little curve on the H, making it really simple so that it's easy to read. So once that was done, I then wanted to sort of mix the H and the R together. This came from the typography at the start when I mentioned about there being like a really nice glaze on bread and how it sort of just ran nicely into one another. So I wanted to combine the H and the R together to create that really nice flowy, that handwritten feel and more personal feel. So I'm using a pencil tool, which is my go-to tool, by the way, to just make the extension on the H, and using the eraser tool to get rid of parts of the R and combine the two letters. So once that was done, I then just went in with the smooth pencil tool, and I just tidied a few bits up, added in some extra stuff, and we now have our beautiful primary logo. So this looks, I'm actually really pleased with it. Everything worked really nicely. High going into the riser just creates really nice sort of positioning with your eye. And yeah, I really, really like it. So we've got the primary logo. The next thing is to create an alternative logo, which I like to call the secondary logo. And I'm probably going to put this in a landscape position just so there's versatility when the client uses the logo. Well, I am really enjoying using this scripted and handwritten font. I feel like I haven't used that type of style of typography in a while. The scripted font, I think, has been overused a little, and that's when it really loses its power. So if you are wanting to use a more scripted handwritten font, make sure you're using it for a purpose, that it is handwritten, more personal in that kind of sense, because otherwise it does lose its sense of purpose of it being that handwritten font. I'm taking you through my thought process for the logo layout. So I've got the secondary logo, which is the landscape layout, and I did struggle with this one because I had combined the H and the R together, so when they sat now next to each other, it just did not feel right. So I swapped out my tweaked R and we've got the original R back in, which I still really, really adore. It does just remind me of like a baguette or some sort of bread, which just fits perfectly for this bakery. So we swapped that out, and then we've gone to the original H as well. So these are just sat next to one another and it just works better for the eye. For some reason, it just did not position right. So I've just tweaked that, moved it about, and we have the landscape position. So now I'm going to go into a logo mark. So I knew I wanted to use the H and the R just because when you think of like a signature, you do have two initials, and it would work really nicely with that handwritten feel. So we wanted to keep that H and the R in. So I'm just playing around with the original tweaked H and R that I've used. Once again, it just did not sort of feel right. So I've gone back to the landscape logo. I've taken the H and the R from this, and I wanted to just sort of combine them exactly how I'd done in the primary logo. So I'm just play around with it. That's exactly what I do. Just play around with the positioning to get it to exactly how I want it. So I thought it would work really nicely with the H sitting sort of on top of the R, and then you've got the direction of the R taking you round. I then had a really nice idea to go and add a full stop to the logos. So when you're finishing a sentence and you're using your handwriting, you do put a full stop. And like even with my signature, I put a full stop at the end. So I wanted to just get more of that handwritten and personal feel in there. So I've gone back, I've added in a little full stop, and it works nicely with the H and the R logo mark because the full stop is positioned between the stem of the R and the curve, and it just looks beautiful. The handwritten feel that I've gone for works perfectly for a bakery, and I'm really liking the direction of this brand. So the next thing, which is my favorite thing, is we're gonna add in the beautiful color palette that was chosen and given to us at the start. Hopefully, these logo variations and this brand will work nicely for a bakery. In my head, it works well, but we're gonna see when we add the color in. The color palette. Let's just take a second. If you can find another business that fits this color palette, holler at me in the comments because I feel like Bread Bakery was meant and destined for this color palette. I've decided not to use the green color. Don't know what it was, I wasn't vibing with it for this brand. So we've gone for the 4 colors. We've got the primary colors as the whites and the black, the secondary colors as the tans and the orange. We could potentially add in the accent color of the green, but I just feel like homing in on those 4 colors and making it really distinct for this brand works really nicely. Only thing that I want to do now is add in some photography of the nice bread, which is going to make me really hungry, and make sure that it matches with these colors and the style that I'm going for. So I'm going to head over to Pexels and Unsplash, find some photography and watch it come to life. I think the photographer understood the assignment. I found some beautiful photography from Pexels that just matches the color palette and the style and the brand that I'm going for. Like the orangey colors you get from the bread, the blacks from the shadows, you've got the nice wood color, everything. Like I'm ecstatic right now. I cannot contain my excitement. Like my words aren't even coming out right, but I love it. I'm obsessed. I'm so excited to find some mock-ups for this brand. We're going to create some nice tissue paper. And we could like even make some really nice like handwritten notes from the baker just to add in that like sentimental value and the handwritten style we're going for. Obsessed. Like I'm let me know if you're vibing with this. The photography has just taken it next level. Okay, I'm not even lying when I say that sort of style of photography made me really hungry. So I have currently made myself peanut butter on toast. We're getting into the feel of the logo and the brand. We're doing our own experimenting and yeah, I needed a little break as well. So gonna eat some toast. Let me know your favorite topping on toast. I am addicted to peanut butter. So good. Cravings for toast and bread have now been and gone. I have made a mess. There are crumbs everywhere, but I'm satisfied. So now we are heading over to Envato. I'm going to find some mock-ups for some maybe bread bags and see what else they've got and really see this brand come to life through the mock-ups, and hopefully I can design something. I might do like the personalized notes on like a thank you card or something like that, but make it really cute and really personalized to this brand. We are designing some tissue paper that is going around some beautiful tasting bread, and for this I did have in mind to come up with a pattern. So I haven't done like a brand pattern for the branding, but for the tissue paper and the packaging, this could be the pattern that's used. So what I'm thinking is to maybe do like a continuous line drawing and just go with the flow, because when you are baking, it can get messy, so we'll get that nice messy feel of the continuous line. Also fits in well with like the handwritten feel of when you're writing and just going with the flow. So I'm gonna get the brush tool and create a really nice pattern. So that took me a few attempts to do, but we got a pattern in the end. I've put it in to Photoshop just to see how it looks, and it did look a bit plain. So what I'm doing now is adding in the logo march of the HR and just putting it into where the space allows it within the continuous line. So I'm gonna see how this looks, and hopefully by just adding that like signature mark with the lines, will make it look a bit more appealing to the eye. So let's put it back into Photoshop, see how this looks. That is it. How cool does that look? So now it is customized to the brand and it still has that really nice handwritten, personalized feel. I would probably keep that wrapping paper, I'm not gonna lie. That is the brand and the mock-ups done. I've done a few more mock-ups which I'm gonna leave to the brand reveal at the end. If you guys have watched some of my previous videos, you will know that I do a little brand reveal, a little funky video at the end to really bring the brand to life, to show the brand in action, and to give you guys a little teaser of what potentially this brand could be. So without further ado, I'm gonna introduce you to High Riser. I'm not gonna lie, I had so much fun designing a brand from one specific color palette that was generated online. If you did enjoy this video, make sure to hit that subscribe button if you want to see some more content just like this.